I've been told that this is one of the most toxic fan bases out there alongside Tool.
Prove me wrong, kids. Prove me wrong.
Today we are ranking the albums of NIGHTWISH through Yesterwynde, but we're starting back at the beginning with Angels Fall First in 1997. The debut album from this Finnish symphonic metal band, originally released on Spine Farm Records. It's a serviceable debut with some great melodies, and I particularly dig the synth work, but it also feels a little bit amateurish. Tarja is a great vocalist, but I find her performance here to be a little hit and miss, and the production also feels a little lacking. I can respect a more retro, stripped-back sound, but for symphonic metal, I want things to sound pretty big. This just feels more like a garage recording. A little more polish would be nice, but even the remaster fails to impress me. Tutankhamun is pretty good, but the whole Lappy saga bores me to tears, so I put this one at okay. Next up is Oceanborn in 1998. Huge step up here right from the top with Stargazers, more impressive guitar and harpsichord, fuller production, and a much tighter performance from Tarja. Gethsemane follows up strong with some very infectious string hooks and melodies. Love the twinkling synths and vocal interplay of Devil and the Deep Dark Ocean, and both Sacrament of Wilderness and the folky moon dance really gets my head bobbing and foot tapping. More epic tracks like the Pharaoh Sells to Orion, definitely a fan favorite, and it is excellent, but I think it has some slightly lower points in the second half, and frankly, they have albums I just enjoy way more. Regardless, this made them a household name. You can let me know down in the comments how you feel about this one, but this is going to be my first disagreement with a lot of people probably. I'm putting it at great tier, but again, this is all subjective, my opinion. Let me know what you think down in the comments as we continue to Wishmaster in 2000. Killer interplay of the synths and melodethy guitars on She Is My Sin, and the Kinslayer is just an all-around banger from the vocals and guitars to the strings. Love all the kind of glockenspiel sounding parts, incredible piano on Wanderlust, and the title track gives similar vibes as Sabaton. More catchy vocal melodies and twinkling synths on Bear Grace Misery, Crownless is a total banger, Dead Boy's Poem is lovely, and then ending on another energetic note with the killer harpsichord on Phantasmic. And appropriate to that, I'm going to put this at fantastic. Then we got Century Child in 2002. The first album with bassist and male vocalist Marco Hietala, and to feature an orchestra as well. Massive opener in Bless the Child. Love those epic synth blasts going into the even more powerful bursts of layered vocals on End of All Hope. For something a bit more low-key, Everdream is absolutely stunning. Such a dynamic and well-written composition with every member working together perfectly and an absolutely pristine vocal performance. That then contrasted nicely by the super chunky Metallica-sounding riffs open up Slaying the Dream. It drops off a bit in the middle with Forever Yours in particular getting a little bit too Titanic for my taste. But then of course you have a spectacular rendition of the Phantom of the Opera, and I enjoy Beauty of the Beast, certified double platinum in Finland. Another one I'm betting a lot of fans are going to put at perfection, but me, I'm going to put it at fantastic. Next up is Once in 2004. Another incredible opener in Dark Chest of Wonders, really stepping up the production quality with the orchestra and choir, absolutely massive. Wish I Had an Angel is another catchy head bobber with fun interplay of the male and female vocals, more awesome use of choir on Planet Hell. I feel like I'm listening to a John Williams score at times here, killer guitar work too. The brass and flutes on Creek Mary's Blood are absolutely stunning, more of Tarja's best work alongside the strings on the aptly named The Siren, super heavy guitars and bass on Romanticide. Thomas called fan favorite track Nemo one of the most difficult they have ever made, with it taking months to work out, and I can hear that work put into it. I could really talk about how every song is incredible, but I'll just leave it at 10-minute epic Ghost Love Score, which probably should have won all of the Grammys if that actually meant anything. And also, shout out to all of my fellow YTMND enjoyers from back in the day for that one. If you know, you know. This would be their final album with Tarja on vocals and was the most expensive recording ever made in Finland until their following album, and also their most successful commercially to date, is what I saw anyways. Maybe that's not correct anymore, I'm not sure, but in any case, I am putting this one at perfection. Then we got Dark Passion Play in 2007. With Tarja fired by the rest of the band, Annette Olsen steps in here on vocals, as does new member Troy Donackley on Julian pipes and tin whistle. The album cost reportedly around $500,000 to produce, and kicking off big with the nearly 14-minute opener, The Poet and the Pendulum. It's like Danny Elfman on steroids. Bye Bye Beautiful is another great track on the heavier side with great use of both vocalists, and then the very infectious Amaranth currently has over 100 million Spotify listens for a very good reason. Also love cadence of her breath and master passion greed, more catchy vocal melodies and heavy headbanging inducing guitars. I actually really like Annette's vocals, but they definitely have a less operatic quality, and I could see how that might turn some people off, but for me this reminds me more of something like Elevated. Her performance on Ava is lovely. And speaking of Elevated, also digging the Celtic vibes towards the end. This went quadruple platinum. Add this to my list of long albums that actually justify their length. I loved every second of it. It is also going to perfection. They followed that up with Imaginaerum in 2011. Concept album incoming. I was previously familiar with Storytime, and goddamn is that another incredibly infectious vocal melody. Really digging the layering of harsh and clean vocals and sick guitar work on Ghost River. Lots of varied regional elements on display here too. More Celtic energy on I Want My Tears Back and Turn Loose the Mermaids. The latter also adding some fun western sounding trumpet and fiddle. Fun circus vibes on Scaretale, and the tribal drumming flutes and sitar really make Arabesque stand out from the previous compositions. Last Ride of the Day is yet another straight banger through and through. Song of Myself is kind of corny, but outside of that, this is 3 grand slams in a row for me. How can you hate on this? Like, Tarja was just one part of this incredibly talented band, so another one for me. I put this one at perfection. Next up is Endless Forms Most Beautiful in 2015. So Annette is out, with now current vocalist Floor Jansen stepping in and bringing us back to a more operatic style. Kai Hato of Winter Sun and Swallow the Sun also drums on this album. This is the first time in a while that the album opener didn't fully wow me. The orchestral elements are still great, but the overall songwriting just doesn't reach the same heights. Similar notes on Weak Fantasy, love the guitars and the big dramatic elements of the last minute or so, but it strikes me as very just kind of safe sounding. Plenty of songs I would describe as catchy, but this time more in a way that a radio song I don't exactly like still manages to get stuck in my head kind of way. Even the songs that stood out to me, like Yours is an Empty Hope and Alpenglow, feel like retreads of songs that I had already heard from them. I also don't think that The Greatest Show on Earth justifies its 24-minute runtime. Still plenty of talent on display, but this just feels pretty forgettable to me, so I'm gonna put this one at good tier. Then we have Human 2 Nature in 2020. Another even more comparatively mid-opener in music. It's not bad, and Floor gives a strong performance, but it's just not getting me into it. Noise is better, but still having some of the same issues I did with the last album, where it's just not making quite the same impact. Definitely one of the stronger songs here, though. It's just missing a lot of the fun, is the best way I can put it. I'll be intrigued here and there, only to be disappointed, as with the very Tool-like drum intro of Harvest, only for it to devolve into what feels like contemporary church music. I do also enjoy Pan, although some of these strings sound suspiciously close to the Pirates of the Caribbean theme. Tribal is also good, with those discordant guitars, Flesh God Apocalypse vibes on that one. I think Zucchini actually put it best in Discord, referring to this later material as elevator opera music. This is the final album to feature bassist vocalist Marco Hietala as well. I am putting this one also at good tier. Which brings us to Yesterwynde in 2024. Just a quick reminder, if you're enjoying the video, be sure to help me out in the algorithm by hitting the like button and commenting your own rankings down below, because this is all just my subjective opinion. But getting into Yesterwynde, lead single Perfume of the Timeless was definitely a grower for me. It takes a little while to get into it, but the chorus is really catchy and really gets stuck in my head. I do think that they have better songs in their catalog at this point, but it is definitely a standout on this album. An Ocean of Strange Islands is another strong, longer single with the big, powerful strings as well as the bagpipes at the end, but I'm less enthusiastic about Floor's singing on this one. I'm just not sure whose decision it was to stuff seemingly as many words as possible into each measure. The Anti-Kythera Mechanism is a strong track overall, a bit more understated and calling back to some of the older albums. But then The Day Of is kind of lame, with its ham-fisted insistence on being deep from the melodramatic lyrics to the cheesy child choir. There's no way to say Y2K in a metal song and have it not sound goofy, in my opinion.
It insists upon itself.
What does that even mean?
Interestingly, though, I feel like the second half of this one turns into almost a completely different album, starting with the soft acoustic and blissful harmonized vocals of Sway. The Children of Ada, Something Whispered Followed Me, High Wraith, and beautiful closer Lantern Light also fall in with the more understated and scaled back sound of the earlier material and without the aforementioned overstuffed vocal issues. Spider Silk is one that does a better job of balancing their more catchy and bombastic elements with a classical approach that doesn't come off as try-hard. This should have been a single, in my opinion. And The Weave is an excellent slow burn of a progressive track with a killer bass line that often steals the show. Honestly, I went in with low expectations with this one, but the best thing I can say is don't base this off of the singles. They do a pretty poor job of representing what to expect overall. This largely leaves their previous trend of bigger, louder, and more epic compositions behind in favor of something that is a little bit more subtle and soothing. And on that front, I see it as a big step back up from the last two, and I'm interested to kind of see where they go from here. So ultimately, I am putting Yesterwynde at great tier. Y'all check out this playlist for more power and symphonic metal rankings, and also I have hundreds of other discography rankings and otherwise here on the channel. So again, please do subscribe for more of that. But that'll do it for now. Flight of Icarus signing off. I will see you in the trenches.